When you hear or see Destiny 2, what do you think of? Cool, alien worlds, a beautiful art style that refuses to let your eyes ever look away, amazing and addicting loot that keeps you playing long after you should have gone to bed, or the failures of Bungie and the dark times that existed during several periods when Bungie was under Activision's control. What's going on, guys? It's Keanu from Shepard Gaming, and while I know I'm late on discussing the subject of this video, it's still something I want to talk about and give my 2 cents on, especially since it seems like many creators haven't discussed this enough, and that is how Destiny 2 has actually become a great game, and it may even evolve into a legendary game, come this September, when Bungie applies a plethora of changes to the base game, alongside the arrival of its new DLC, Shadowkeep. So by now the news of Bungie and Activision splitting apart, and Bungie taking the reins as both the developer and publisher has been said and heard by almost everyone. But with the behind the scenes video documentary released, dubbed Out of the Shadows, Bungie has more or less confirmed that things are going to be drastically different now that they are in control of their own destiny. Now before I get into the details of the vidoc, which are pretty well known by now, I want to first discuss Destiny 2 and its infamous relationship within the YouTube sphere. When Destiny 2 first came out, the game received almost nothing but praise across the board from both content creators and early reviewers. It seemed like Destiny 2 had corrected and fixed the mistakes that had plagued the first, mostly including an actual story-driven campaign. However, it wasn't until reviews like Angry Joe's and even my small review that were released much later that people began to really see that Destiny 2 did indeed have many faults within it. Once the hype and honeymoon phase wore off, people realized the story wasn't really all that great, the 4-player only aspect of PvP was garbage, and greatly limited variety, and grind to level up and earn exotics and legendaries was streamlined to a T, with no roles, making all of the content in Destiny 2 extremely easy to achieve in just a week or two. While these changes were great for casual gamers and newcomers who may have disliked the first, it went against everything that the community enjoyed from the first game. The same community that kept Destiny 1 alive and popular long after release. Once these issues had become known by the mainstream audience, Destiny 2 was met with criticism and outrage from all corners of the internet, from Destiny-centered creators to players who have probably never even played the game. This hate continued for months after release, and Bungie fumbled hard with both its first 2 expansions, and the increasingly controversial and predatory Eververse, which is becoming so anti-consumer to the point where aspects of the game were being modified to try and push players into spending real money for cosmetics. Bungie was also at an all-time low, but some believed all of these horrible decisions were made solely by Activision. Once it looked like all was lost for Bungie in Destiny 2, the Forsaken expansion was released. Except this expansion was actually met with praise across the board. Review-based channels to Destiny-focused channels all had great things to say about Forsaken, and along with a multitude of updates, believed the game had evolved into the game it was always meant to be. Now this may sound similar to the situation surrounding the Taken King when it was released for Destiny 1, so people were still cautious about what would come next from Bungie. They were pleased with the game, and this was seen as VIP developers at Bungie were pleased with their newest expansion and what the game had become. However, Activision was not. And now here we are where Bungie and Activision are no longer linked, and everything that happens from here on out, both good and bad, will fall solely onto Bungie. Many YouTubers I watch were quick in covering this news and offering their opinion on the hopeful but cautious future to come. However, many of the news channels on YouTube that'll upload a video within an hour of negative press being released haven't released a single video discussing the first vidoc released from Bungie since the Activision split, and the massive changes being implemented that deserve praise and good word of mouth. This is a developer that has clearly been listening to fans and wants to do right by us gamers, and attempt to change the general perception that surrounds them. And I know some people may not have an issue with this, but for me it's irritating when people only cover the bad about a game. If you cover a company or a person's faults, you also have to cover their achievements. I myself have done plenty of videos on the game's problems during year 1, so I myself also have to acknowledge just how far this game has come and how Destiny 2 is about to make one of the best comebacks of the generation. Okay, with that said, let's get right into the avalanche of details released in Bungie's video. When looking into the vidoc, the first thing that I really enjoyed was how similar the style and feeling was to the old Halo 3 vidocs Bungie used to release. Aside from seeing some familiar faces, the part of the video that gave me that Halo 3 vibe was seeing how passionate and happy the developers looked. It seemed like they were generally excited about what they were creating, and you could see such encouraging enthusiasm from every developer. Alongside this refound passion, Bungie also announced they were making the game free to play. Well, sort of. They finally listened to everyone's suggestions and announced that the base game and the first 2 expansions will be completely free of charge. New players will also be able to play a tutorial that starts in the Cosmodrome, similar to Destiny 1, and even visit all the zones of the game, including zones and expansions that aren't being made free, such as the Tangled Shore and the Dreaming City, and the upcoming Return to the Moon. The amount of content here accessible to players will include the Lost Sectors, public events, and other world elements. The main missions and raids, though, will still only be accessible if players purchase the appropriate expansion or the annual pass. Another change I love that Destiny's implementing is you can always buy individual expansions and seasons without owning the previous ones. This means if you take a break from the game for a while and miss a couple expansions, you won't need to purchase those to catch up, and can play the newest stuff right away. Having a huge chunk of the game free to play for people should boost the game's player base tenfold, and what's being offered for free is something truly incredible and rare in the AAA game space. Hopefully, Bungie will also find a way to allow new players to not feel too overwhelmed and lost with so much content laid out before them. Then again, I don't think too many players are going to be upset about an amount of free content the size of the Traveler. Okay, and now onto the most interesting parts of the video and Destiny's 2 future, the next big DLC, Shadowkeep. This next chapter in the Destiny saga is an expansion that is supposed to be the size of the Rives of Iron, and perhaps maybe even a little bigger. This DLC brings us Guardians back to the moon, but now it'll be at least twice the size of the old zone from Destiny 1. The main enemies of the expansion will once again be the horrifying and creepy Hive, but due to a mishap on Eris's part, a dark force is now resurrecting old Destiny bosses, and bringing Guardians' worst nightmares such as Gaul and Crota back to life. Armor will also be a major focus of the expansion, as Bungie has stated that there will be a total reworking of the system. Now you will start with a base set of armor, and then add perks into it that you've unlocked to create a custom set. A big inspiration for the new way armor works seems to be MMO mixed with RPG, with a massive focus on stats where week after week, Guardians will be trying to raise their armor a couple percentage points. This is something that I and many fans have been begging Bungie for eons, and I couldn't be more excited to see that this is finally being implemented. Along with some new weapons that actually have healing powers, we may finally see Bungie's Destiny become a much more true MMO style game with stats and class roles. There will also be new finisher melee moves that will serve as the game's new form of microtransactions, and even include the ability to do things such as drop large amounts of ammo for you and your team after a successful melee finisher. The new raid will also once again take place in the Black Garden, which is one of my favorite locations in Destiny. And the game is sure to amp up the amount of amazing exotic guns, including a new trace rifle that creates crit spots, a scoped hand cannon, and a heavy power bow. Overall, it seems like this DLC is just icing on top of the many new changes coming to Destiny, and the expansion will surely beef up the armory for many Guardians, and give us plenty of new versatile tools of destruction to get obsessed with and chase down. Really, the only negative I see from the new Bungie, and the upcoming expansion Shadowkeep, is the release date, which is September 17th, just 4 days after Borderlands 3, and that's a looter shooter that is going to be the game to play for a while once it comes out. So balancing Borderlands 3 with the new Destiny expansion will surely be a struggle. But then again, I'm sure the dedicated Destiny fans, such as myself, will still find a way to do just that. However, if the expansion was coming out August 17th, I think the hype and timing would be a lot more beneficial to both the fans and the developers. Okay guys, well that's all for my views and opinions on why Destiny 2 is shaping up incredibly well and is poised to make one of gaming's greatest comebacks, and send this generation of gaming off with a bang. But I want to know what you all think as well. Do these changes make you excited about the future of Destiny 2? What do you think about the release date? And do you think Bungie has what it takes to take back the FPS mantle? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, Be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next Shepard Gaming video. Keela Salai.